I'm Umbreon Libris, and today we're trying something a little different. Back when I did my redesign of Slurpuff, my friend Kai Sirius left this comment. When you refer to important parts of its design mentioned in the Pokédex, it makes me wonder how it would turn out if you redesigned a Pokémon with no visual references, but purely based on the flavor text available in the Dex. Maybe it could be a separate series where someone gives you the Dex entries without even a name, and you come up with a design based on that. Well, that's a fantastic idea. So that's exactly what we're doing today, and naturally, I asked Kai to do the honors and choose the Pokemon for me. But of course, he didn't tell me what Pokemon it was. All he gave me were these two Pokédex entries. 1. There is a long-held belief that medicine made from its scales will heal even incurable illnesses. And 2. It habitually hoards sparkly things in its nest. Its loot is constantly targeted by thieves. Maybe you recognize what Pokemon that was, but I don't, which is perfect, so I started brainstorming what kind of creature would fit. I needed something scaly that hoards sparkly things, and I immediately thought of the classic dragon, like Smaug in The Hobbit or its predecessor in Beowulf. Perfect for Generation 8. As classic as it is, I don't think we have a dragon Pokemon known for its love of treasure, so I played around with some basic dragon ideas, but I wanted to add another layer to this Pokemon so that it isn't just a generic dragon. And it turns out that in traditional Chinese medicine, pangolins are coveted for the healing power of their scales. And I don't think our subjects are Sandshrew and Sandslash, the pangolin Pokemon that we already have, so I settled. This will be a pangolin-inspired dragon Pokemon. It took me a long time to work out the design though, starting with something more strictly like a pangolin and slowly trying to make it more and more dragon-like. Here I even went back to one of my previous dragon sketches to try to get a better body shape. Next I started to work on the details, but you'll see I had to do several rounds of simplifying the design. I made it walk with its claws inward like a pangolin and really played up the spiky scales, although later I tried to minimize them again. I also gave it a very long spiky tail, something that I thought Sandslash unfortunately omitted. At this point I was pretty happy with the design, at least as a first stage, and it just needed some little adjustments. But I wasn't happy with the really static side pose at all, so I created a puppet of it, so to speak, so that I could translate the same proportions into a more dynamic pose. I thought about giving it a coin or something in its hand, like a Meowth coin, but in the end I decided against it. I continued to simplify the design as I went, going for more geometric shapes rather than literal scales, but finally I was happy with it. So I outlined it and gave it some earthy colors, plus a bit of blue, since dragon energy in Pokemon is often represented by reds and blues. And then I gave it golden claws and eyes as a reference to that treasure hoarding element. So now let's try to scale that up to a second fully evolved stage. Whereas the basic Pokemon stayed relatively true to pangolins, I wanted the second one to be way more of a dragon. I initially wanted it to be a long Chinese-style dragon, as a way to tie it in with the pangolin aspect, but I just couldn't find a body shape that I was satisfied with. So ultimately I gave up and went for a more Western dragon, with even a pretty Charizard-like anatomy and pose. I wanted to expand on the treasure aspect, so I gave it gauntlets, like it's now wearing the treasure that it was hoarding. I struggled a lot with the design of the face, so let's set that aside for a bit. On the legs, I decided to give it greaves to go along with its gauntlets, and I made the tail very long, very spiky, and maybe prehensile? Okay, now I'm finally making progress on the face, and so I just need to adjust the proportions a bit. I'm not quite done yet, but let's clean up these lines. I considered giving it even more armor with a chest plate, but I decided against it, and instead spiked up the design with a pair of scaly wings. Not sure if it can fly with those, but at least they made it look more like a dragon. For the colors, we'll start with the same colors as the basic stage, but we'll make it a bit more saturated, brighter, just stronger. So here we go, the final artwork for both of them. I haven't stopped to think about a name, so leave a comment with your suggestions. I think I would make them Dragon Ground and Dragon Steel, maybe? I'm pretty happy with how both of them turned out, although for some reason the evolved form makes me think of a Digimon. I think it might be because of the colors, and the shading on the armor might be too realistic. But even then, I think they look pretty good. Probably could have used a little bit more thorough brainstorming of the concept, and more workshopping of the design would have been great. I actually felt kind of weird not having you guys in the chat helping me out. But I still don't know what Pokemon those 2 Dex entries came from. I have a guess though, something that I thought of while I was doing the drawing. The only Pokemon I can think of that has prominent scales and has a connection to treasure hoarding because it's a dragon is the Kommo family. So, did I get that right, Kai? No? Well, I wasn't too confident in that anyway. So tell me, what Pokemon was it? Gabite! You know, I actually came pretty close, but good job picking a middle stage Pokemon from Generation 4. So I hope you had fun with this video. I definitely did, and you know, these were my first Fakemon designs in a long time, so I was happy to flex that particular creative muscle again. I would appreciate it if you could leave a like and help me get this video out there, and let me know if you'd like to see me do more mystery Pokemon designs, or redesigns? I don't really know what to call it. Thank you to my patrons, especially luxury patron Ethan Saffron. Oh, and if you're interested, make sure to check out my channel update that I put out earlier this month. I'm Umbreon Libris. I'll see you in the next chapter.